Hello everybody, it's Stephen here for the Idiot Quilter. Welcome to my weekly episode. It is episode number 342 for January the 20th, 2026. Hope everybody is staying warm if you're in a climate like I am where it's very cold. And it is like minus 12 right now, but with the wind chill factor it's over minus 20. That's in Celsius, of course. So yeah, frosty. And I'm looking forward to going out for my walk later this morning in the frostiness with my new boots. Yeah, I had to get myself a new pair of snow boots because what I was wearing on my feet was just not gripping the ice very well. I fell yesterday. Didn't hurt myself or anything like that, just hurt my ego. Yep, walked out to start my walk right out in the front of our driveway, hit a little ice patch, and down I went. And next door, there's two young lads. Well, young as in, I think they're both in senior year of high school or something like that. They're brushing off their car, getting the snow off so they can go off to school. I don't know if they even noticed I fell. Didn't see them running over to help an old man up. Oh, well, I got up. I'm okay. So, yeah. Anyways, don't know why I told you that. Let's talk about what I've been working on. Well, UFOs. Now, I told you there about 2 weeks ago, I had 5 UFOs hanging in Lucy's room there, my long arm, ready to be done. And I've got them all done now. And here's the last 2 of them. And this is I'm calling this the boat star or starboat quilt because this quilt has a major mistake in it. And if you look at the corner pieces, the points, you will see, if I can get my cursor up here, you'll notice that one of these blocks does not belong. And it's this one here, or one of these units. I got a half square triangle turned around the wrong way. Well, at least I was consistent because I did it with them all. Don't ask me how, but I did. I did it to them all. So it looks like a little boat, actually. So that's why I'm calling it the Starboat Quilt. Now, I remade this quilt after I discovered this problem and did it the right way, and I changed the color scheme of it as well. But I thought, I had this much of this done, and this is not a huge quilt. It's more of a lap quilt, throw, whatever you want to call it. So I've decided that I would finish it, and so I quilted it, and you can see my quilting here. These circles and stuff. I think actually those look really nice. Let's see if I can blow that up a little bit more for you. There you go. So you get a better look at the quilting as well. Now, believe it or not, I think the thread I used in this was, I think I used a variegated thread. Yeah, I did, but the variegation doesn't really show up all that well. But that's okay, because I like the effect. And yeah, it's a cute quilt, barring the little problem with it. Okay, so let's get out of this. Oops, didn't want to go that way. Go this way. Okay, so that was one of the unfinished projects, which is now finished. And this is the other one. This looks like a mess, I know, but there's something intriguing about it too, at least to my eye. And this is an orphan block quilt. And by the way, it's not really wavy like that. That's just because of the carpeting that I laid it on and trying to lay it down flat so I can take a decent picture of it. I'm too lazy to get out my display racks that I have that I purposely bought for this purpose, but by the time I get them set up to take a couple of pictures, yeah, so I don't. But yeah, these are all blocks. Anytime I experiment on a block or I have a little mistake in a block, I don't throw it out. I throw it in a little bin, and when I get enough of them, I put them all together sort of willy-nilly and make them all fit. And that's why you'll see that some look like they're cut off a bit, because they are, to make them all the same size. And in some cases, I use some coping strips. And, even though it is a just leftover blocks and kind of a mess, no rhyme or reason to it, I kind of like it. I think it's kind of interesting to look at it, because there's something for you to find every time you do stare at it. So yeah, and I used a K-facet fabric on the back of it that I had laying around, and you can see the quilting on this one. I'll blow it up a little bit more for you. It's just some I don't know what you call it, sort of square spirals. And yeah, again, Lucy was very cooperative. I just let her do her thing across this quilt. And yeah, so there it is. And as I said, I kind of like it in sort of a bizarre way. So, this would make a great dog quilt. It would make, well, it could even be a baby quilt, I mean, as long as the people understand you threw it together with basically bad blocks. I don't know if you'd want to give that to a gift for somebody, or, just for your personal home use, watching TV, something warm to cuddle up in. Doesn't matter what it looks like when you're doing that. If it keeps you warm, and what the heck, it's a good utility quilt. Okay, now, something I'm very happy with and very proud of is my latest quilt, a Valor quilt. Now, this isn't completely finished. I have one border, a small 2-inch border to go all the way around the outside of this. Actually 2.5, but it'll finish at about 2 once I get the binding on it. And this is one that I designed myself. I didn't design the panel, of course, but I built it around that panel. And I am really happy with the way it has turned out. And I'm very proud of myself that I was able to figure out the quilt math. And I'll let you in on a trick. I can't do quilt math. I get so lost in that all the time. So basically, I put this together on a design wall. And I worked on it. I started with the panel, but I didn't cut the panel until to the size that I wanted, until I figured out how these pieces on the sides of it and the top and the bottom were going to go together. And I did that all on the design wall, and I did some math as well, quilt math, but I got it to work, and I'm quite proud of myself that I was able to get that to work. So I am thinking, after I get the borders on it, and once I get it on Lucy and get it quilted, that'll probably happen next week. Planning on putting the borders on today, the last of the borders, and I won't get a chance to get onto Lucy until probably next week, maybe next weekend, and get that quilted and bound, and it's done. And that will be donated to the Quilts of Valor. But in the meantime, I'm also going to write this up as a pattern. And I'm going to write the pattern up in such a way that you don't have to make this a Quilt of Valor. You can use any panel you've got, and we usually have panels laying around, don't we? Because we see something we really like and think, oh yeah, we'll do something with that one day, and it gets tossed somewhere in a corner and you forget all about it. So this pattern I'm going to write specifically to work with any panel, pretty much any panel, and yeah, and you can put it in any color scheme you want. And that's what I'm going to do. To test my pattern, I am going to actually dig out a panel that I've got here. I've got several. Different color scheme probably. And not intending the second version of this to be a Quilt of Valor, but just to test the pattern. And that's how we'll go. And then, if all goes well, I'm going to possibly offer the pattern for this quilt to the Quilts of Valor's group to see if they want to put it in their store to sell it. I don't know how that works with them. I know many of their patterns are actually produced in conjunction with Northcott, who designs their O Canada line of fabric that I use a lot for my Quilts of Valor. And see, or what I might do is I'll just write it up and I'm going to offer it free to all my subscribers. I will see. I will see what will happen. Or I might even hang on to the pattern and give it out as a freebie to everybody who signs up for my retreat. More about the retreat in a moment. So yeah, that's what I've been up to. And I need a cup of coffee here, or a sip of coffee. Yeah, so let's move on. Okay, sewing with Stephen, that would be me, on Wednesdays as usual. And the link for it is in the show notes below. Pop-up Sew Day. Yes, I have kind of decided on the date now for that. That is going to be on the last Saturday of the month, this month. So it's going to be January the 31st. And I will have a link next week in the show notes for everything that I put up next week for you to join if you so feel like doing it. We run from 8 o'clock Eastern time to about 4 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time. Come and go as you please. You don't have to be there right at 8, whatever. There's a core of people I have that usually come all the time to pop-up sew days. But that does not mean we're a closed group, because we are not. We always enjoy having more people join us, new people, new blood, so to speak. And if you've never been to one of my pop-up sew days, or never been to a virtual sew day, maybe now's the time for in the new year to give it a chance. Excuse me. Because they're a lot of fun. And the best thing about pop-up sew days is you're in the comfort of your own home. You're close to your sewing machine, you're close to your coffee machine or tea or whatever you want, and you don't have to lug things to an in-person retreat. You can just come sew. So you never have to worry about forgetting anything, leaving anything behind. It's all there for you. And the group of people that usually show up for the pop-up sew days are always very friendly, very supportive. We love to see what you're working on. It's just fun all day long. So that's coming up Saturday, January the 31st. Okay, update on the retreat. I'm having a little problem with getting speakers. I have one already set up. Actually, I have two set up for this. I'm looking for a third one. Thank you very much for all the suggestions you have sent to me. I will still accept more suggestions. I send out these emails explaining everything and asking if they would get back to me and let me know just one way or the other. I mean, no, people are busy. And there are several of these speakers I have reached out to, but and I know they probably can't do it for a variety of reasons. But, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. But I'm not getting any replies. Like, it's, I don't know, are they getting my emails or not? I hesitate to send them a second email. I don't want to seem like a nag on this, but I think I probably will. If I did give in the intro letter I sent to them, I did ask them to get back to me by the end of the month. Well, it's not the end of the month yet, so, you know, let that happen. But yeah, and I've sent out quite a few, like about 10 requests. And as I said, I have one confirmed. I have a second one that's not really a presentation, but it's, well, I don't want to say who it is, but it's somebody who you'll be very familiar with, many of you. And I just asked him to come and give us an update on how his plans and things he's doing. But I'm looking for another one. And yeah, I'm really disappointed that, I don't know, maybe it's just me. If someone asked me to be a presenter at something or whatever, I would be, first of all, I would be thrilled by it. I guess I'm not a big thrill factor for other people. But I would definitely get back to them one way or another within 24 hours, you know, because come on. Most people know whether they're available on specific dates because I put the specific dates in for them. And what's that? But, you know, not everybody's like me. You know, you send me an email, send one right back real quick. That's the way I am with things. Always have been. And I guess I expect other people to be the same way, and I shouldn't do that. So anyways, we'll give it a little bit more time. There could be a number of reasons why people haven't gotten back to me to let me know one way or the other if they're available. Maybe they're on vacation. Maybe they've just been so tied up with whatever they do for a living that, you know, they haven't had the chance yet. Maybe they're sick. I don't know. Maybe they're just plain rude. Could be. I don't know. But we'll wait and see. But I'm sure I'll get another speaker somewhere down the line. If not, I have a backup plan. And I don't know if it'll work. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. But I do have a backup plan for this. Okay, so anyways, the retreat is going to be either April the 11th or April the 18th, which is a Saturday. More details will be coming out soon, I hope, just as soon as I get my speakers finalized. Then I can go on with the rest of the stuff. Okay, enough about the retreat. Let's talk about Russ's from Quilt Meets World sewing shenanigans on Sunday. He has these every now and then. They're kind of like my pop-up sew days. It was a good time. There weren't many of us there, but it's not quantity, it's quality. And it was a quality time. Everybody had a good time. I think people got a lot of things done. I know I did, because that quilt behind me, I got the majority of that done actually at Russ's retreat. But it was a good time. So, if you are not familiar with Quilt Meets World, then you will find a link for it in the show notes below. And please go out and check out Russ and support my friend on here. We work hard at creating content. And, this isn't a paying gig. We do it out of the love of wanting to do it. So, give us some love. And while I'm speaking of that, I was looking at my statistics the other day, only because I saw another YouTube channel where they were talking about their statistics. And I noticed that although I have over 12,000 subscribers, or there are a lot of views, not everybody that comes and views is a subscriber. And there are many people that are repeat viewers. Please, you've probably heard other YouTube creators talk about this, but it is true. It really helps us out in terms of the algorithm that, puts us out in the mainstream pathway for other people to find us. If you subscribe, so it doesn't cost you anything. And if down the road you decide you've had enough of me and you don't want to be subscribed to anymore, you can unsubscribe too. So, and some of you already have. That happens. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but that's okay. Not everybody else that's out there is my cup of tea either. So it works. So yeah, please, if you're going to not just mine, but if you're going to anybody's, any content creator's YouTube channel on a regular basis and you haven't subscribed to them, please do. It takes only a second to do it. And as I said, that helps us out because it puts us out there into the electronic world for others to come and find us. Okay, so, and besides Russ's sewing shenanigans, on Saturday, I was at Walter's sew day with his bunch, with his friends. And I've become kind of a regular at it as well. I wasn't going, mainly because you have to lug a lot of stuff, and oftentimes I would have a pop-up sew day on the same day. In fact, I would do that on purpose because I'd be here all by myself anyway, so I figured I'll do a pop-up sew day while he's at his in-person sew day. But I enjoyed going to them, enjoy the people, and so now I plan around those days as well for when I'll have my pop-up sew days, so the two don't conflict, and I can go to his group. So anyways, it was a good day. Walter, I think, got a shirt done, and he showed that on Stephen and Walter Live on Sunday, and he was wearing it actually, and it's a nice shirt. It will look even better on me. Whatever. It's not like I'm lacking shirts. I think Walter's going to extend out. I think there's something he wants to make as a sweater jacket or something like this, that he wants to get on with. I'm still trying to get him on to Lucy. He says he wants to do it, and I want him to do it, but okay, you don't push Walter into things. It has to be on his own volition. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that. But anyways, yeah, it was a good weekend. It was a weekend of sewing. Okay, so on Friday we had Sew Chatty, and again we did another topic that was suggested by a subscriber. Thank you so much, people that are sending me in suggestions for Sew Chatty. Please, 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 if there's something you think we should talk about on Sew Chatty, just send it to me. Either put it in the comments on any of my videos or send it to me as an email. My email address, by the way, is at the very top. When you go into the show notes box, you will find a thing that says about, like, well, it tells you, click here to find my email address. It'll probably, when it goes there, it'll come up and you won't see it immediately. It will have a little, one of those little boxes, whether they're a catcha or box, you know, to prove that you're not a robot. And you check on that and then click submit, and bang, my email address is revealed to you. So yeah, if you've got suggestions for So Chatty, please send them along to us, because it gives me ideas. I will work with that suggestion. I will develop it into something. And so this is what we did this past Sunday, past Friday. And this was about men entering, the increase in the number of men in the quilting and sewing world. And so I did some research and found out all about that. And that's what Friday's So Chatty was all about. Next week, we're going to look at the whole connection between the Underground Railway and quilts. Is it a myth, or was it really true? And what do blocks? Do blocks symbolize certain things? Do they mean something? So that's the topic this week. Now, we're going away just for a couple of nights into the city, into Toronto. It's Walter's birthday weekend, kind of a thing. And so this is how we decided to celebrate it. So we're leaving here on Thursday, not coming back till Saturday. And usually we record earlier on Friday, So Chatty, and put it up. I think we're going to be recording it earlier than that. You won't know that because it'll still be scheduled to come up on Friday in its usual spot. So why am I even telling you this? Just in case my plan doesn't work out and we have to skip this Friday for So Chatty. Trying not to, but it could happen. But just in case it does, you don't worry. We're not dead. We're just away. But I think it's going to be there. Now, something else that I want to show you that I created on my 3D printer this week. Someone sent me a picture of this and I found it. And here it is. And it's for binding. And here you can see how it works. It's basically a spool. You wind your binding around that spool, and it's got a little lip on it. And you can slide it onto your sewing table, or close to your sewing table if you've got a spot where that'll fit, and away you go. And I just tried it here on a small little sample with some leftover binding I had in a strip, and it looks like it's going to work very nicely. Another picture, here's a close-up. So you can see it's a very simple mechanism, and you can see that on the bottom part there's like kind of a little ledge thing, and it hooks underneath, or it just sits there by gravity really, to the bottom of your table, and away you go. So I'm going to try this on the next quilt, probably the Quilted Valor that I showed you earlier. I will try this out on a real quilt and see how well it works, and I'll report back then. But I thought this was really kind of a cool idea. Okay, so that takes me to subscribers' quilt of the week, and this comes from Mary Mack. This week's quilt from a subscriber comes from Mary Mack, and she writes me a fairly detailed email about this, and she sent 2 pictures along. This is the first one, as you can see here, and this is what she writes. Dear Stephen, thank you so much for your channel. I look forward to it every afternoon when I get home from campus. What I want to share is not a finished quilt, but it will be. I'm a university instructor in history who has been teaching a course about quilt history to a group of honors students this semester. I don't think I should mention the university's name. Throughout the semester, they have been working on quilt squares to make a quilt for donation. The students had to research a local charity and make a pitch that their charity would receive the quilt. The class voted to give the quilt to the family that the local Habitat for Humanity is building a house for. Only one of the students had sewn before, so they had to learn how to operate a machine and produce a quilt square. This was in addition to the typical academic reading and terms papers. Okay, just going to take a little aside here for a second, because on So Chatty we talked about trying to get younger people involved into quilting a few weeks ago, and here's what we were talking about. They're actually teaching a course at the university level in quilt making. I'm attaching two photos. The first is of their practice quilt, and the second one in black and yellows is the top for the one they are donating. We picked a traditional pattern that would hide any mistakes or make them look intentional. We used scraps from my stash, and they bought a few fat quarters to add to the scrappiness. And let's just take a look at the second picture. That's really pretty. That's really nice. I love that, how the black really makes the yellow pieces all stand out. So that's great. She carries on by saying, I'm so very proud of my students. Their work and participation in the academic side of class, along with their hard work and conscientious struggle with sewing, has been uplifting. They have reminded me that there is so much good in the world, but sometimes you have to look for it. I wonder if you would consider doing a session on getting young people involved in quilting, or how quilting is taught in colleges and universities. I would be interested in knowing how our other viewers share their joy of quilting with the next generation. Yeah, we did a session in So Chatty a few weeks ago about getting young people involved in quilting, as I've already mentioned. So, and you were doing that as well. So, bully for you. That is great. I think this has been a really great experience for you and for your students. And the end results, I'm sure, are going to be appreciated by whoever gets these quilts. So thank you, Mary, for sending this along to us, because not only are the works beautiful, but you've also been inspiring, and you've given us another way of getting younger people into what we do. Thank you. And as I've said many times before, if you have a favorite creation you would like to send me one please, picture of, and a short little blurb about it, less than 50 words, I would be happy to feature it here on the channel. So don't be shy. I enjoy seeing what you have created, and I know this is one of the favorite parts of my Idiot Quilter episodes for other people, because they have told me so. So please, let's show you off. Okay, YouTube of the week. Well, I just talked about UFOs and I got all caught up, but I found this video clip entitled "The Real Reason Your Quilt Tops Stay Unfinished," which I thought was a very interesting discussion. This week's YouTube of the week comes from a lady called Susan, who has a YouTube channel called Stitched by Susan, and I know she is very popular, but for me, this is the first time I have discovered her. And this was recommended to me, or she was recommended to me as a possible speaker for my upcoming retreat. And I am working on that, but no guarantees. I haven't heard back from her at the time of recording this. But besides that, I think she has a really great channel, very informative, and I definitely loved this particular YouTube clip where she talks about the real reason your quilt tops stay unfinished. And as you know, I just recently finished a whole pile of UFOs that I've had sitting around for literally several years. And so that's all done. But I found her points about this topic were very inspiring and made a lot of sense as well, and were very good for helping me get on with the job of finishing up my UFOs. So if you have UFOs piled up, this will be worth your time to take a few minutes and watch The Real Reason Your Quilt Tops Stay Unfinished by Stitched by Susan. So that takes me to future projects. Well, I have another Quilt of Valor pattern that I want to do sometime this year, and this is called True North, and it's by Paul Leger Quilts. Actually, I know Paul. I've been in a couple of sewing situations with him before as well, and this is a really cool pattern. So here it is. This week's future project is another Quilt of Valor that I want to do sometime this year, and this one looks pretty basic, but I think it'll be a really nice pattern. Now, I picked this up at one of the sew days. I believe it was one of the sew days. Yeah, for the Quilt of Valor group, and it's by Kallisti Quilts. Now, Paul has been around for quite a while and is a great supporter of Quilts of Valor. Unfortunately, I was unable to find a link to this pattern. Which is kind of weird. I don't know why. I went to the Quilts of Valor site and I could not find it there, and I went to Paul's site as well and I couldn't find it there. So if you're interested in this particular pattern, you might contact Paul at his website, paullegerquilts.com, and see where you can pick this up or how you can get your hands on this particular pattern. But I love it in its simplicity. It's just red and white, but it's maple leaves, and I think it's a great pattern. So I'm looking forward to working on this in the future and donating it to the Quilts of Valor. Now, one thing about that pattern, usually I find the link for you where you can get the pattern. Well, I can't find a link for this pattern. I went to the Quilts of Valor site because that's where I bought it. I bought it from the Quilt of Valor site some time ago. It's not there anymore that I can find. I don't think I missed it. I even went to Paul's website and I can't find it there either. So I don't know where it is. So my suggestion is, if you really, really want that pattern, that you go to Kallisti Quilts and in his contact page or whatever, just write to him and ask him how you can get your hands on True North, because that's what it's called. Okay, points of interest. This comes from Marjorie Harmson about a project that I think sounds fantastic called the Quilted Hug Project. This week's point of interest comes from Marjorie Harmson, and Marjorie sent me this link to a YouTube video about the Quilted Hug Project. Now, you may or may not have heard of this before. I certainly haven't. But what this lady explains in this, and also gives a tutorial on how to make something like this, is that she and her mother had a big box of scraps and were trying to think out things they could do with those that they could donate to charity. And they got talking about nursing homes and how many of the people there are sitting in wheelchairs, and they get cold very quickly. And so a lot of times people make lap quilts for them, but the staff there suggested if they had something that they could easily wrap around themselves, that would be better than a lap quilt, because again, it won't get caught in their wheelchair wheels or fall off on the floor, things like that. So they set out to do this, and they have created what you see in the picture above of a quilted hug. Basically. And I think this is a great idea. And I might actually attempt to make something like this, because this is a complete tutorial, and the link for this is in the show notes below, so check it out if you're interested. But I think it's a great way to make something fun. It looks like it doesn't take long to make, and it looks like she's making it from strips in this particular tutorial. I'll have to be honest, I haven't studied the tutorial in detail yet, but I think you could also make it with using orphan blocks or things like that as well. It does have pockets on the inside of it as well, which I think is also a nice feature for people that are, pretty much stuck in a wheelchair. Keep their little things that they want to keep with them there handy. So overall, I think this is a really cool idea and a very useful idea. She also suggests in this video that this could be something that could go to people who are undergoing chemo, because I've heard, and she says on here as well, that oftentimes chemo makes people feel really cold while they're sitting there and going through the procedure. So yeah, thank you, Marjorie, for sending me this link. I think this is a really interesting project, and I think it is something that I personally would like to pursue a little bit further. So that takes me to what I've been working on. You've seen most of the things I've been working on, but this is a chance or a time when I will take you on a little tour of my sewing room and showing you different things that I am working on that are quilt related and sometimes not quilt related, or a little bit of both. So this week I've been working on some more 3D prints, of course. I just got a whole new shipment of filament in as well, because you can never have too much filament. And this is going to be a soap holder, but this is a little bit of a unique one. If you remember at Christmas time, I made a bunch of soap holders that look something like this over here, these ones. But this one, and these are pieces for that one I just showed you inside the printer, make a gnome that holds soap. Now there is some assembly required, so I'm hoping that assembly is not too torturous. But yeah, I thought it'd be kind of unique. And these ones I'm making for the people at Walter's in-person sew days, because I'm taking them little things each time I go. Last time we went, which was just this past weekend, I took over what I call practical prints, which were bag clips, etc. And yeah, and then we were talking about these soap holders I made at Christmas, and they seemed to be interested in those, so I'll make them some of those too. It just keeps me moving, you know, working on 3D prints, but I don't need all the stuff that I print, so, you know, might as well give it away. And quilting, well, there's my Quilt of Valor top. This is my own design. I've still got one more border to put on it, and then it'll be ready to put on Lucy and get it all quilted up. I am going to try and write this one up as a pattern, and then to test the pattern, I'm going to make another one, but I'm going to do it with a totally different type of panel and not necessarily in the colors that I would use for Quilts of Valor, because my theory is I'd like to make the pattern generic enough that anybody could make what they want in their own color scheme using a panel of their choice. Doesn't necessarily have to be a Quilt of Valor kind of a thing. Over here in the corner, yeah, I had it all cleaned up, and now I've got more projects piled up on it. Never seems to end, does it? And of course, I got to do something about my stabilizers and interfaces, because they're kind of all over the place. You know, I'm beginning to use the floor as storage space. Oh my God, Walter has rubbed off on me when it comes to that. But that's what I've been up to. That's about it to show you for now. So that brings me to the point in this episode where I do a review of an online quilt store. And this week's quilt store is called, and I hope I'm saying its name correctly, Kallisti Quilts. This week's online quilt store is a little unusual because of the type of fabrics that they carry, and it's called Kallisti Quilts, and it's in Waterloo, Ontario. And the fabrics that they carry are Japanese fabrics, which are very, very beautiful and very nicely made. And yeah, you don't find a lot of these around. So let's take a look at what we have. Here's their homepage, and it says Kallisti Quilts stocks 3 main categories of cotton fabric from Japan: regular weight quilting prints, textured doby cloth / plush poplins, and subtle yarn dyes that are stable in Japanese quilt making. They have quilt kits as well in these, and sashiko supplies too. So if you're into sashiko, then there's something for you. They do have a little bit about her, which I'm going to spend a second looking at, because she is selling something that is definitely a niche area. Established in 2000, Kallisti Quilts is passionate about providing a diverse collection of imported fabrics for the discerning and innovative quilt makers of Ontario and beyond. I specialize in Japanese cotton fabrics and continually endeavor to find new suppliers and collections to inspire and refresh your quilting vision. So she does have a newsletter as well that you can sign up for. So let's take a look at what it is she has to offer. So let's pop into fabrics, and you can see there's a pull down menu here. She has fabric bundles, limited fabrics, Japanese doby cloth, Japanese linen solids, nothing really under there unless this will take you. Oh yeah, okay, there's no subdirectory. Japanese quilting prints, blenders, brights, and traditionals, and Japanese yarn dyes. Well, let's take a look at traditionals under Japanese quilting prints. And oh, here we have some very, very beautiful fabrics. It looks like it's probably about $4.50 Canadian for a quarter meter. Yes, it is. And so that makes it, let's see, about $18 a meter. Well, that's not unreasonable given the type of fabric that this is. So let's go back and just take a quick look at other things that they have. Looks like all of them are what I said, $18 a meter. And yeah, there are some very, very beautiful fabrics. If you are an art quilter, I am sure that this will appeal to you. And oh yeah, up here, she gives you a range, $18 to $20 Canadian per meter. But very beautiful fabrics. I love this butterfly one that is here. But they're all very gorgeous. Now, I have never ever used Japanese fabrics, but I am very tempted to put in an order with Kallisti Quilts because I'm really loving what I'm seeing here. And they have quite a few to choose from. It looks like about 5 pages, possibly more. Yeah, 5 pages, and there's quite a few to choose from. Okay, what else under fabrics can we take at? Well, they have brights. Whoa, these are beautiful too. Now, these, $225. Please note that all fabrics this collection are now reduced to 50% of the original price for the 24th anniversary sale, and now cost $9 per meter. Oh, okay, and you can get them in fat quarters as well. Well, that's a bit of a bargain too. I noticed they had blenders, and blenders range from $18 to $20 a meter. The prices are very reasonable given these kinds of fabrics, because they would have to be imported from Japan, I would assume, and lots of pages of that. So yeah. Now the other fabrics that she shows up here, like Japanese solid linens, they range about $20 for a meter. So I think this would be more for those who are doing maybe art quilts or even garment sewing. But still, I think that's fairly reasonable price. Anything else we should look at? Well, she has something called scrap packs. Fabric bundle, 24 blue Japanese Dobi print, 5-inch squares. So a charm pack, basically, $13. Well, that's not particularly bad for price either. There's print bundles, a little more money. But if you want to get yourself sort of a sample of some of this particular type of fabric, then you could. And they have fat quarters only, $6, $5, $6, $2.25 for fat quarters. So there you can make up your own little bundle. And lots to choose from. And sale items, which we may have already seen. Well, no, we haven't. But yeah, quite a few there as well. Anything else under fabrics? Well, there's blueprints and yarn dyes. Okay, now, they do sashiko. And it looks like they have books about that if you want to get into sashiko. And then they have fabric that has sashiko already on it. And then a panel that looks like maybe you sew on these in sashiko. I don't know a heck of a lot about sashiko, but if you wanted to get into it, this might be the place to check out. Okay, patterns. So she has a few patterns, actually quite a few patterns, that I'm assuming she has picked these because they will go along with her fabrics. There's even a modern Japanese rice pouch. Oh, well, that's interesting too. That might be fun to make. Something a little different, especially for my little bag making experience this year. All right. patterns and related notions. So she has these metal clips in bronze, and she has fusible interfacing. I'm wondering if you need to use interfacing with these fabrics before you work with them. I'm just reading here. Doesn't say. Excuse me. Okay, now you can get quilt kits. And these are interesting. And they're probably not very big, like this one. Let's see. Yes, 23 by 35 inches. So these are more wall hangings than anything else, but they might be fun to do. And she has quilts for sale. So if you want to buy an actual quilt, you have a big selection here. These ones with the circles I really like. Yeah, so far I'm being very impressed with what they have. Half-price quilts. Okay. And sold quilts. Okay, so she's showing their samples, basically. So it gives you some idea of what things would look like if you use these Japanese fabrics. Events. Yes, I am sure I have seen her at some quilt shows before. I've never really bought any Japanese fabrics, but now that I'm seeing what they have to offer here, I am definitely thinking I should. That would be something new this year to try. She has gift certificates. So what is their shipping policies? Shipping in Canada. Okay. So it looks like she says they ship by Canada Post using the most inexpensive possible delivery method. For small orders of Sashiko supplies or fabrics totaling less than 2 meters, your order will default to oversized letter mail, which is cheap, up to $6.50 Canadian plus HST, but slow, unless you choose the faster, more expensive expedited method starting at $13.50 Canadian. All other orders will default to expedited, which includes tracking and insurance. You'll see all applicable shipping options during checkout. Okay, well, I don't think it's unreasonable what she's charging for shipping. And she does ship to the US and to Europe and to Australia and New Zealand as well. So, yeah, that seems reasonable. So overall, I am impressed by her website. Easy to check out what she has. Prices are very reasonable. Shipping is very reasonable. And just the fact that she's got something just a little different from the usual kind of things, because it is Japanese fabric, I think is really great. So I am going to give Kallisti Quilts an 8 out of 10. Okay, so that's it for me today. Just again, another reminder to mark on your calendar if you're interested that our next pop-up sew day is going to be on Saturday, January the 31st. All details for that and links will come out in all my videos next week. And I don't think there's anything much more to tell you today, so I hope you're staying warm if you're in a cold climate. I hope you're staying cool if you're in a very hot climate. And for those of you that are in between, well, you can go both ways. Okay, have a good week. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.